There are lenses that exist and lenses that are in your budget. I'm going to lead you through the illusion of choice to your next favorite lens. The focus is going to be on lenses that are small, light, inexpensive, easy to find, and most importantly, fun to use. Thanks to the magic of literacy and this 1985 Competitive Camera Corp catalog, we can see what was popular back in the day. The first camera on the page is the AE-1 program. If we take a look at the A1 and the F1, all the kit lenses are the same. Generations of photographers have learned with a 50mm focal length. My go-to was a 51.8 on the AE-1 and AT-1 I owned. It's the film shooting experience you're looking for, and that extends to the film stock you choose. My recommendation for black and white would be Ilford HP5 Plus or Kodak Tri-X 400. For color, there's Kodak Gold 200 for that classic birthday look. Without flash, it might be a little difficult to use indoors. And then, of course, the ever-popular Portra 400. Affiliate links will be in the description. The 51.4 is also a perfectly acceptable choice. I've just never cared for the additional size, weight, and cost. If you've got one of those lenses, you should be good to go. And if you haven't already, get out there, shoot some rolls, and enjoy the camera. There are FD and new FD lenses because of how complicated the breech lock design is. FD lenses are conceptually like a doorknob where you turn the base plate instead of the knob. Which should be no surprise to anyone, people were constantly getting their lenses stuck onto their cameras. The new FD revision changes that, and the lens operates more like a doorknob. They can be identified by the lock on the barrel of the lens. They are the newest and final revisions of lenses, so these are the ones that I recommend you try to buy. These new FD lenses include wide angles like the 28mm f2.8, which is a great choice for street photography, taking pictures of groups, maneuvering around events, architecture, or wherever your imagination takes you. Drop a comment below if you prefer a 28 over a 50. There's a 35 f2.8, both the 135 f3.5 and 2.8 can be found for under $100. These were and still are much cheaper than the 85mm f1.8, which costs more than $300. The 85 1.2L is the same price as the EF version. I would suggest leaving those to collectors. There's also a 200mm f4, but I don't imagine most people are going to be interested in that. Dealing with that kind of focal length without either optical or in-body image stabilization is going to be tough without a tripod. Zooms have depreciated more than primes, which can make them attractive considering that everything I'm going to talk about is available for less than $100. Though keep in mind that focusing indoors can be difficult due to the small apertures. First off, there's the 35 to 70. This really doesn't make sense to me because 3 steps back or 2 steps forward with a 50mm and you've gained 2 stops and it's pretty much going to be the same. The focal range just never seemed large enough to be that appealing to me. I'm more than interested to hear from people that have a different view on that lens. I can see the 35 to 105mm f3.5 as being a much better choice. The 70 to 210 f4 is a good entry-level telephoto zoom option, though there is also the Vivitar Series 1 70 to 210 f3.5, so it's faster, it's also cheaper, and should be slightly sharper. Along the same lines, the Vivitar Series 1 28 to 90 f2.8 to 3.5 is going to be a strong alternative to the 35 to 105. The Vivitar lenses come in different lens mounts. Pay attention so you don't end up with a Nikon F or Pentax K mount lens. Canon has a few different macro lenses to choose from, though they use the same optical formulas as everyone else at the time. As close-up lenses, they'll work really well. Don't stress out about getting the extension tubes. I really wouldn't recommend doing macro in film unless you've already done it with digital. My favorite is this Comine 55mm f2.8. I prefer it over other vintage macro lenses as it doesn't need an extension tube to get to 1:1 magnification, and stop down to 5.6, it's sharp corner to corner. It can be found in a variety of mounts with different brand names. The most common is Vivitar. Just about all of the FD lenses are at least 40 years old. And because of that, there are some condition problems that you should be aware of to check for. The main thing you want to look out for are focus, zoom, or aperture rings that are a little too tight or maybe too loose to turn, as that's a sign that grease has been drying up or degrading in the lens. For the amount of money you're spending per shot, you should enjoy every single one. That's why I would recommend making sure that wherever you order from has at least a 30-day return policy. A return policy is also a good sign that they will have checked for fungus, haze, oil on the aperture blades, and other major condition issues. For all the collectors out there, and definitely not hoarders, what's the grossest or nastiest lens that you've come across? I know that I've come across some lenses that must have been chain smokers in their past lives. I no longer shoot film because it became too expensive for my taste. Instead, I've switched to vintage digital cameras like the 5D2 I'm shooting this with. I found that it's pretty much break even to own a camera for about a year and then resell it. For the physical aspect, I've been using portable printers, and they're able to produce prints on the spot for less than it would cost me to take one shot on 35mm. Just something to think about.